Hello, and today we are going to make our snowflake paintings. So you've worked on getting some snowflakes cut out. I told you to have about 7, and the reason to have 7 was so you had a lot to choose from. And so we want to make sure that you have something that you're going to really be happy with. So if you have 7, you don't use them all, no big deal. You had some really cool things to choose from. Before you start the painting, you want to arrange your snowflakes so that you have an idea where they're going to go, because once we start working with the watercolor and the water, this little step here has to be already figured out because it needs to be fast, so that you're getting it down and then you're reapplying color. So what you're going to need today is you're going to need a cup of water. If you're at home, I would suggest, you can see I'm working on like a cookie sheet, but if you can be by your kitchen sink, that actually would probably be your best spot to do your painting in. You're going to need your watercolor paints, and you're going to need some cotton balls. Okay, so you need cotton balls, water, watercolor paints, and a tray. Those of you in class, you can work straight on the table. Okay, because you have towels, you can clean up your area as you need to. Okay? All right, so now that I know where I'm going to arrange everything, I'm going to pull these up and I'm going to start the painting. So step 1 of the painting is you're going to make the paper very, very wet. Okay, so I'm taking the water from the cup and I want to make it wet. Let it pool. You know, it's okay to really make it like you can see the water is on there. Okay, the paper's going to start to buckle, and that's okay. It's super, super wet, and that's okay. If you're hearing background voices, I'm sorry. It is time for the Super Bowl right now. The Super Bowl is going on, and I've told the family quiet on the set, but yet they are not being very quiet, so I don't know if you can hear them or not. But anyways, just disregard them. Pay attention to the painting. Okay. All right, so the paper is super duper wet. Okay. Now I'm going to add colors. So you have some cotton balls. Those of you in person, you have them in your box. And you're going to choose 3 colors. Okay, make sure that the 3 colors you choose are colors that kind of go together. So I'm going to pick, I don't have a lot of pink, but I'm going to pick pink. So I'm going to start adding pink. Now it goes down real lightly. Yours might go a little bit more intense in color. Tried to make them a little more intense than the ones I have here. Those of you at home, for your watercolor paints that you have, if you'll put a little bit of water in your colors and let them kind of sit there and loosen up, then they're going to be able to blend more. You're going to have to work at it just a little bit harder because the way your paints are. Now, I didn't cover the whole thing with the pink, but I got it started. So the next color I'm going to choose blue. And if they blend, it'll be okay because the pink and the blue should make a purplish color, which would be just fine. So I'm kind of filling in spaces that I did not get with the pink. I'm going to get all of this in here. All right. So I've kind of got it all mixing together, and it kind of looks cool just the way it is. Now let's add one more color. Now I've got pink and I've got blue, so I could either go red or I could go purple. And I think I'm going to go purple because my red is kind of an orangey red. So I'm going to add some purple in here. Not going to cover up everything, but I just do want to have some little variation. Now the color is light, and it is totally okay for it to be light, okay? Because this is your first layer. You're laying down the ground, the foundation. All right, there we go. Now I did not get rid of my cotton balls too, by the way. I have those. Let's see if this will come into focus. Come into focus, please. Why is it not focusing? Okay, so the next step is we're going to put those snowflakes back on. Okay, so you can go ahead and kind of set them and press them in. If your snowflakes have been folded up, this step might be a little bit like they may want to be popping up, and that's okay. Just got to work with them a little bit. So I'm sitting here trying to remember, where did I put these? If it's not exact, it's totally okay, but you do want to get it close to what you had. You want to make sure that you have them balanced all over the paper. I think that was about close. I'm not going to let them overlap because I think that's going to get confusing, but you're going to have them really close to each other. I think I'm going to let this one go off. There we go. All right, so now once we have them placed, you're going to go back in with the color, and you're going to go over the snowflakes. And you got to be careful because you want them to kind of stick down to the paper. Okay. Now be mindful of where you're wanting these colors. So I'm kind of pressing down here. Okay. Don't mix your colors, by the way. Like when you're dipping to get a new color, don't dip into a different, don't put it in like purple and then go put it in blue, okay? Because then you're contaminating the colors. Okay, so it takes a little bit. You gotta work it to get it so they will stick down to the paper, but they will. Once they get wet, they will stick down to the paper, but you got to be careful too, they'll break. So this is not something that you can just rush through. You got to be really mindful of it. And if you kind of squeeze the cotton ball down, the cotton ball is loaded with color. It will make the paper get saturated and help it stick easier. You can kind of rub it outwards, and that helps. In fact, your cotton ball may have enough color that you don't need to reapply anything. Okay, so I'm going to go back in with the blue now. In fact, I did not even reload this blue. I just started pressing it down, and it's working because it's got tons of water and color still in it. Now, those of you at home, you probably will have to reapply constantly because your colors are a little bit different than what they're using in school. It's the same thing. It's watercolor. It's just at school they're using liquid watercolor, and at home you're using I guess they're called dried watercolor. I don't know. Watercolor pans is what they are, but they're kind of dry. And now I used the colors that I did, so it's okay if I go over them and they mix, because that's not a bad thing. All right, so I've got it pretty well colored. Now my next step is to let it dry. Okay, so that's your steps 1, 2, 3, I guess. So just after this, you're going to pick it up gently off the table or the counter, wherever you have it. If you do this at home in a pan, you could leave it in the pan if mom says it's okay. And then once it's dry, then you'll be ready for the next step. But otherwise, put it on your portfolio, stick it on the drying rack. Okay?